Hello and welcome to Counterpressed on The Ringer and Spotify. I'm in the studio with Gilly, Flaherty and Jessy Humprehys. On today's show, Manchester United Spurs delivers the drama as Spurs throw away a 3-goal lead at Leigh Sports Village. We'll also talk about Bunny Shaw breaking records on the other side of town. Is she the best the WSL has ever seen? Guys, before we get onto the football, Karen Carney, Strictly finalist. Gilly, did you watch?
I didn't watch it.
Will you watch the final?
Yeah, I might give it. I might just be one of them like ones that just tune in for the end.
Next
Saturday.
But I did.
I'm at the party.
Oh,
I'm at the darts actually.
I'm at a party as well. Actually, I'm at a social. I'm going to Tocker.
Gilly at a party.
Tocker
Wow,
social.
this is exciting.
Well, it's like a children's party. So
It's a kids' party.
But no, yeah. So I saw on Twitter, on X, someone was like, "Oh, Karen Carney sobbing." Like, it just come up on my feed, and I was like, "Oh no, like what's happened?" And obviously, it was good tears.
Yeah. I mean, as a huge Strictly fan, as listeners will know, it's been great to watch her #Strictly journey. She was top of the leaderboard week 1, and then the next time she was top of the leaderboard was on Saturday in the semi-finals. She's had an amazing run to get there. And also, I think she's done the sort of campaign side of it well. She's galvanised her network.
A lot of interviews early.
A lot of interviews, a few like, PR newspaper stuff, as well as getting her footballer network to post on social, get behind her. She's talked more about sort of her story, her personal life, the impact of going on the show. I think it's all wrapped up quite nicely for potentially a title win.
Wow.
And she's the first footballer to ever get to the final, which is kind of crazy.
That kind of contradicts the point I'm about to make.
Okay.
But I think when you kind of watch her doing the dancing, I've not watched the show, but I watched her little clips of her dance. It's like you can feel like the competitive spirit that comes from being a professional athlete. But then it's funny that no footballers made it before. They mainly have like oafish men.
Well, there have been athletes that have done well on the show before, but not footballers. Mark Ramprakash, an England cricketer, famously won one of the early seasons.
That's great niche Strictly knowledge, Flo.
Well, I think there's this assumption that athletes will have quick feet and they'll be like, say, very competitive, so they'll do well. But I do think there's a disadvantage because they're more likely to not necessarily let loose and lean into the character and the sort of acting of it all, which actually Karen referenced on the weekend as she felt like she was finally leaning into that. I do fear that the YouTuber who no one knows who he is, but is obviously very popular, will win the show.
Who else is in the final?
So it's Amber, ex-Love Island, current West End star. I think that's cheating. I know lots of people agree with that. I think she was a late
Not that
addition.
Amber who went out with Jen Beattie.
No, the one who was with Kem.
No. Sorry, different. Early Kem
Welsh?
Love Island. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she's currently...
I think it's unfair though when someone's like, I just think someone's on Strictly if they're like from a music background.
Exactly.
Because they would have done
People have been complaining
choreography
about Karen Carney taking dance lessons as a teenager.
Yeah, I think that's
She had dance. Oh, I think she did speak about that.
Yeah.
But your current
No, I
musical
agree.
theatre.
I think that's very different.
And there was one of the guys from Emmerdale who's in it. He was in So You Think You Can Dance, a dance competition.
Okay.
So I think, I don't know.
Did you guys go to dance classes when you were little?
I did.
I went to
ballet? Well, they done no ballet tap.
Okay, I'm thinking about taking up tap
show
as
us some
an adult.
tap. Wow, come on. Come on,
I only
do a little
went
bit.
because my sister went. It was called Footsteps, right? And it had like white t-shirt, and we had turquoise like shh trousers. Yeah.
Oh,
What's
okay.
a shush trouser?
Like as in
really like material.
yeah.
Like shimmery? Or
no, like just like
Like,
that.
almost like satiny.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
okay.
And we used to do. I only went because my sister went. I didn't want to go, but Mum made me go, and I hated it.
It's not good for your footwork, footsteps?
Yeah, but I was like so bad, so I was
Yeah.
like, and my sister
Lawrence,
was really
you're
good.
a performing arts child.
I famously got kicked out of ballet for being too boisterous. Some good
That's
law there
brilliant.
for
That
you.
is good, Flo Lloyd-Hughes.
And then I sort of revived my dance career because at my school we were doing a play. God, it's a niche play. I can't remember what it's called, but it's set in like the 80s and it's set around like a tap dancing. It's not chorus line, but it's similar. It's not musical, but anyway. My very camp drama teacher always picked random plays. And so I was in that. So I had to revive my dancing career because it's set around a tap class. But luckily, I played the character who was famously bad. So I didn't actually need to be looked at, but I did have to have tap shoes, and we had to do like proper choreography and lessons. But yeah, I've never really. Did you do ballet?
No, never.
I
did
can
any
imagine you'd be good
dance
at ballet,
lessons.
actually.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Do you think I could take up tap, or is it embarrassing as an adult?
No, I think it's
go
my
for
mate's
it.
been
I think
doing
it'd
it.
be
It'd be fun, yeah. Hard, but yeah. Well, maybe we should have
Wow, I like that you think I'd be good at ballet. That feels like a really nice compliment.
Yeah, I couldn't see you doing ballet, yeah.
But no, never.
Wow, okay, well,
Too
never
girly.
too late,
Too
guys.
girly.
Okay, well, let's talk about the football, shall we? Let's get into Manchester United Spurs after this. So, hands down, my favourite WSL game of the season so far. Manchester United 3, Tottenham 3. Jill, you were there at Lee Sports Village. It was such a fun game, especially the second half, completely chaotic. Spurs go 3-0 up, 2 goals in the first half. Martha Thomas adds a third in the second half. And I think, oh, now they've got the third. Done deal. When they were 2-0 up, I still thought it was a little bit on edge. That third goal's in, I think, yeah, there's still 25, 30 minutes to go. But I think Spurs have got it here. But no, it still wasn't enough. Manchester United claw their way back in, and even when Freeland and Rolfo scored that late equaliser in stoppage time, they were still taking the ball, trying to get another one, and eventually ran out of time. Jill, it was really fun, this game.
Yeah, it was a really good game, and I was a bit nervous. Like when I was driving up there, and I was like, it was pouring down, and I was just like, this has got like stalemate like written all over it. And then in the warm-ups, it just looked a little bit flat, and then when obviously the game started, and then Tottenham for the first, say, 20 minutes or so just sat in like a low block sort of thing, mid-block, and it was just United, like, I think in the first half, hit the crossbar 3 times, and it just seemed, I thought it was going to be one of them afternoons where Tottenham were just going to defend, because every time they got the ball, they just give it straight back to United. They didn't, and I was getting wound up when I was commentating, because I was like, there was certain players, like, there was just so much space that Man United were leaving, and then Tottenham, rather than having the composure, were just literally going long. There was no real runners there because everyone was sort of coming deep to defend. And then obviously I thought it was going to be United, where it's just they're peppering the goal and they're going to be here till like midnight and not being able to score. And then Tottenham obviously get the 2 goals against, I'd say the first one was against the runner play. I'd say the second goal though, the last say 15 minutes of that first half, 20 minutes, Tottenham then started to grow into themselves. I think it was more they sat in so that there wasn't an early lead for United, and sort of just to frustrate. And I feel like it was a bit of mind games between the 2 managers. Obviously, Martin was Mark's assistant, so it was obviously would have learnt a lot of how United were when he was there. And then I was frustrated because the goals that Man United conceded were so poor from a defensive point of view. And then when it comes out and then Tottenham went 3-0 up, I was just like, I couldn't really believe it. And then it's just, then United, though, sort of looked like they give up. Like a lot of the United players, I think Jess Park, especially in the second half, I wouldn't even know she was on the pitch, and probably till the last 10, 15 minutes when they sort of got their comeback started again. And then I was saying on commentary, though, I was worried that Tottenham were just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And it was sort of like they was just waiting and for the ball to come in, so they was hopefully going to be able to defend it rather than actually stopping the initial cross. But then United clawed themselves back into it. And yeah, then obviously they got the draw, but it was probably one of the best games that I think I've seen this season.
Yeah, I think it was the most entertaining one of the season, even though there were some like low quality moments. It's a weird one for United, Jessy. I mean, we spoke, I think, can't remember what episode it was when you were talking up that rivalry. So I think it was fun because it had a little bit of that, not obviously just the kind of moments on the sidelines from before the season in terms of where Ho was before. But between the players, there are a few sort of spicy moments on the pitch, a few bookings, a few late challenges. But for Manchester United, Jessy, it's a weird result because it's one that feels like, okay, a monumental moment. We came back from 3-0 down to get a point. But there's still a lot of frustration, a little bit worried about this slightly patchy run they're on, especially, I mean, in the context of the Champions League, this run isn't too bad because they've had some really hard games. But in the WSL now, losing that game to Villa, just coming back as they did on the weekend, they're getting a little bit kind of on edge.
By City.
Yeah. I think they're getting a little bit worried about this run. So it almost feels like, the fact that it took them so long to really kick into gear, even though they dominated in that first half and had loads of chances they didn't put away. But I agree with Gilly. It's like, even though they were creating in the first half, it did feel like they only really came alive in the last 30, where like it's almost like a switch flicked and they thought, oh, we can actually rescue this game, where it felt like they sort of just let it drift a little bit, especially when that third goal went in.
Yeah, and I would say, like, even in the first half, like, when they were hitting the bar, it was, like, a lot from, like, good long-range efforts. But I think as the game went on, and, you know, I think in the end they put up, like, 4.5 XG or something crazy.
Yeah, it was, like, 4.8, I think. Yeah.
So they created a hell of a lot. And I think if you can take yourself out of the moments of the game, you're like, if you're creating that much chances against a team, you're doing something well. And I think it does say a lot, maybe about where this United team has moved on from, that they did come back. Because I do feel like, you know, 2 years ago, that's not something that would have happened. And I think that speaks, you know, we've spoken a lot about the squad, but like that speaks to the ability to bring on someone like Frida Rolfo or whatever, who not only has the quality, but also the experience, like maybe to be like, you know, I've played in brilliant teams, Wolfsburg, Barcelona, and those teams have this like never say die attitude. We will carry on like creating until we score. So yeah, I think it's like a strange set of feelings, because obviously in like the rush of the moment, it is a great comeback and to get a point, but then like feels good because you're 3-0 down. But then in terms of what's been created and sort of where you want to be in the league, it does feel like that's probably 3 points drop. But also that's sometimes the way football goes. You can create a lot and it doesn't really pay off. I think, you know, for United more, maybe the frustration will be conceding the 3 goals. And I did hear Gilly on comms being not necessarily entirely complimentary of some of the defending.
Yeah.
And I think
From both sides, to be honest.
Yeah. The thing I feel more is that this still made me like, I know Tottenham are doing really well. And for where Tottenham are, it's just about points on the board. And the points are on the board. And, you know, we were talking, I think when we did the mailbag episode, sort of about, you know, who's going to kind of finish in that sort of 5th spot or potentially push on. And Tottenham are keeping up with the top 4, and you're already seeing other teams fall away, like London City Lionesses losing to Leicester, for example. But I still feel like when I watched them, this game against United, I felt like it was the same against Chelsea, same to a lesser extent against Arsenal. And maybe you say, look, if you're Spurs, what you want to do is be getting the results against small teams. It doesn't really matter, you know, whether you... And I mean, they're picking up points against the bigger teams, but I just think those performances, it does feel like they concede a lot of opportunities still. And maybe they've been riding their luck a little bit around that. And I think that feels like a bit of a concern for me if we're looking at like where host side are right now.
Yeah, so in total, United hit the woodwork 4 times, 34 shots, 11 on target, XG of 4.59, and then Spurs' XG was like 0.8. And I think for me, it's not only the chances that they're conceding / allowing, but it's also what they create. Yesterday, they were unbelievably efficient with not very much, so that was very impressive. But they're not often that successful. I mean, obviously they got that really big late win against Villa, but often they don't manage to create a lot, and I think that would be the one for me. I think what they do have their advantage is that they've got Signe Gabset arriving in January. There's probably more coming alongside that. So my concern, and I put this in the group yesterday to you guys, was I do look at that team and there's a lot there that still feels like Robert Villaham's squad. And they do have injuries. Obviously, just lost Jess Naz to an ACL injury, which is a huge loss in terms of attacking creativity. But even defensively, for where they want to go, a defender like Ash Neville, for me, isn't in that pipeline. I think she's been a tremendous servant for the club. She works so bloody hard for that team. But for me, she's not someone that I think, if you're looking at we want to finish top 4, is that sort of squad player. And I do think there needs to be, and they're clearly investing in that squad, but there's still like hang-ups, I think, from the squad that were fighting for their life in the bottom 3 teams, and where they are and the ambition to be as a club. And that takes time to kind of overhaul some of those players. But I think yesterday I felt like I was, Martha Thomas, for example, and she took her goal so well. 2 years since she scored a goal in the WSL. But again, the sort of player where I think the future of Spurs, I wouldn't count Thomas in that squad.
No, and I think at the end of the season, he should be able to say if they finish, even if they're finishing in like 6th position, 5th or 6th, like he should be able then to go to higher up and say, I've been able to finish in this position with this squad. If you want to, and that's what I always talk about when it comes to women's football is in regards to like, it's where clubs are happy for their teams to be. If you're happy for your team to be a mid-table team, then potentially you don't need to go knocking and asking for more investment. It's if you're coming out as a club and you're saying we want our women's team to be here, then you have to match that with your investment. I had that argument so many times with West Ham because I'm like, if you're happy to say for us at West Ham we're happy to be a team that sits 6th or 7th, then that's fine. Then no one's going to be coming knocking on your door going we want hundreds of thousands of investment for players to sign, for example, because you don't need to challenge for those top players. But if you're then coming in and going to us, we want you to be pushing the top 4, then your investment in regards to us when we sign players has to match that. You can't go and sign mid-table players. You've got to sign players that are going to get us up there. So I think from a Tottenham point of view, they do need a lot of fresh blood. And I feel like even like they seem surprised with their goals that they scored as well. I don't think they expected them. I think the
defending was so poor for the first 2. I feel like they were so shocked how easily it was laid on the plate for them.
Yeah, and but in regards to like the goals, obviously with their crosses coming in, they didn't really create anything as such as in building it up from the back and good football. And then I think the best one for me was the 3rd goal because Holt I think does extremely well to get it, drives with the ball, and obviously then Martha with the strike gets a little bit of luck with the deflection, but puts enough power behind it. But in regards to you looking at other goals, like Man United goals, they're like building up from the back. They've got a bit of like passage of play. Whereas I think obviously Tottenham were the first 2 were crosses coming in. That might be what they have to do until they do sign players that are going to be creative enough to create the chances.
And all the signs from the club point to they're moving in that direction. I mean, the Galpsep signing is a club record. When you go to the training ground, there's so much ambition. They're talking about the new women's area of the training ground, that sort of extension that's coming. So it's exciting times. It's almost like they're in transition between using some of the players that are sort of a hangover from the previous manager and the previous investment to, well, we are now realistically putting in money that will take us there, but we've sort of navigating that squad. Olivia Holt, I think, is a brilliant find. I think she's been their main creator all season and she got 2 assists yesterday. I think she's been great. And it's like uncovering more of those sorts of players that I think, will stand them in good stead. Jessy, let's talk about United because again, this question about like this squad looking a little bit tired at times as well. And Skinner was funny because he was asked questions before this game about the changes that he made for the Lyon game, and we kind of made that joke about how we'd spoken about the change before, and he said, well, people will criticise if I do, they're criticised if I don't, which is, very true. There's still 2 games to go before the winter break. The game against Juve in the Champions League, they're already through, so I reckon he might still make a few changes again. The League Cup is an interesting one because that's a competition that United could actually have a decent chance at getting some silverware. But with the backdrop of the WSL and trying to make sure you get into Champions League again and the Champions League knockout stages, you would expect that a lot of these big teams are going to make tons of changes. Jade Riviere looked like she picked up a concussion in this game, so there might be question marks about where, how fit she'll be going into these next 2 games. Fullback areas where they do lack depth. So I'm intrigued how they navigate the just last of these games before the winter break.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like maybe a bit of a broken record on this, but I do think broadly you have to give United credit for where they are, and I think United fans probably don't feel like that because they want to be a very high achieving team, and but they're pretty much on pace with where Chelsea and Arsenal are, who are the other teams in the Champions League. They've qualified for the Champions League knockout stages for the first time, having been in the main draw. I kind of think that's, about par given where their squad is and where they are as a team. I think, barring a sort of like more flukier run where like results do go your way, it's hard to, I feel like personally it's hard to expect that much more. It will be interesting, obviously, like you're saying, that the Subway Cup quarterfinals being before the winter break is kind of interesting, because I know you're talking about players being rested, but because it's about to be the winter break, whereas before they used to always be sort of at the end of January, I don't know if managers will rotate as much, because they might feel like they can kind of take a risk a bit more given that we're about to have a break. So it'll be interesting to see how those games do get approached. But yeah, I do kind of feel like for me, if I was like United, I would feel like the main objective for this first half of the season was to be in the Champions League knockouts, and they're there.
Yeah, I think the fact that you can look at this first chunk of the season and that they secured a pass to the next round of the Champions League, that feels like a win regardless of everything else, because the question was, how are they going to cope with Europe? And only a couple of teams dropping out at this stage, but that means that all in all, this bit of the season has been a success, but that could change quite quickly come the playoff round of the Champions League, and where that squad then finds themselves in the last sort of run when it comes to FA Cup and the league. So it's going to be interesting how that kind of comes out start the next year. Okay, let's talk about Man City and Bunny Shaw next. So, Manchester City beating Aston Villa 6-1, but the story here is all about Bunny Shaw. She not only surpassed 100 goals for City, but she made it 103 after bagging 4 on the day. Started the game with 99, and that's 103 goals in 120 appearances in all competitions. Jessy, an unbelievable performance from Bunny. Going into it, the narrative was she going to reach 100? And then she really kind of became the main character for the whole day. I will say the fourth, she did nick it off Grace Clinton. So that was a little bit cheeky.
And she's already so greedy.
I know, she'd already had a hat-trick. But that in itself kind of personifies the sort of player she is and what makes her such a good striker. She's got 74 WSL goals now. She's level with Paris and Kirby, and Miedema and Beth England have more. So Miedema 90, Beth England 85. So if she stays in the WSL, she's going to have a really good chance of getting those records. Obviously, Miedema, her teammate, keeps adding to that. Jessy, I know there's going to be like loads of maybe I'm starting this debate early, and maybe it feels harsh to Miedema on the same pitch, but for me, Bunny Shaw is the best striker the WSL's ever seen. I know people think about those Miedema early glory years at Arsenal and the sorts of goals she was scoring. But the reason I think Bunny is that for me is because she feels like the perfect morphing of like an old school and a modern striker, in that she can kind of do it all. And I know the fact that Miedema's kind of moved position in these later years has, I think, changed the dynamic of how we see her in the history of the WSL. And when she was playing as like a straightforward 9 for Arsenal, she was like nothing we'd ever seen. But because Bunny Shaw has just got better and better and better in the traditional number 9 role, I just think she's a sort of goal scorer that, like, the best we've seen in the WSL, in my opinion.
I mean, I'm obviously biased, so I'm obviously going to say it's Sam Kerr, but that's like fine. I think for me, the problem Bunny has and how I feel about it, and maybe she'll get it this year, but you need the titles to like. That,
yeah, true.
For
you
me,
need
that
the trophies.
That changes things, and I think
very Harry Kane argument as well.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I'm biased. Like I love Sam Kerr, but like I think Bunny's fantastic, and I think what I really enjoyed about this performance is that sometimes I think she's kind of unfairly typecast as sort of being a bit of a just sort of like physical tap-in merchant. But I think what you saw in this game was like some of her real technical quality when she gets in the box, you know, like the variety of the finishing that she can have. So I felt like this really encapsulated like why Bunny is so good. It's really exciting, obviously. I think the relationship that Miedema and Bunny are beginning to have. I mean, the ball Miedema plays out for the Figino goal, is like atrociously good. And you know that obviously both of them in their time at City have had periods out with injury, which I think is obviously meant it's been a bit slower in terms of like getting that relationship going. But I feel like that's a really exciting combination for City. And, you know, like, it's kind of interesting. I saw Tim Stillman tweeting about how many more goals City have scored than it was Arsenal in his case, and how that's kind of really putting them in the driving seat for the league. And, I do think obviously that helps, and it does feel like Chelsea certainly really don't have a form striker right now. I think Alessia Russo's having a really good season for Arsenal, but is never someone who's going to bang them in at the rate like Bunny does. But then I saw a City fan talking about it and saying, but then it's funny because like 11 of those goals have come across 2 games, and obviously they scored 6 in this. So it's interesting, isn't it, thinking about like the role having such a potent goal scorer can have, but also how sort of sometimes the picture can be like painted quite differently depending on it. But yeah, Bunny's obviously in brilliant form and she's looking great.
I think the variety of goal scorers they have also, I think, takes them above some other teams in the division and in the title race, because it's not, sometimes it can be a case of you're over-reliant on certain individuals. And I think City in the past has been one of those games where if a team can take Shaw out of the equation, City struggle, whereas now you're looking at a team that have so many different goal scorers, the potential there. I mean, we haven't even seen the best of Grace Clinton yet, but Firmino's having a really good season. Miedema's having a really good season. I think that makes them just like such a different entity for me. And there were moments actually in that first half where Villa were in the ascendancy. Villa created the best chances really until City found that breakthrough. The goal, my favourite goal of Shaw's yesterday was the second goal, where she kind of does that cutback, sends the defender flying the other way, and then the finish is so good. Jill, I don't know. I remember we chatted to Kate once about what Bunny's like to play against, but what was she like when you came up against her?
I mean, I'm just glad that when I first come up against her, it was obviously many, many years ago. Because I do feel like she's, as the season's gone on, she's got better and better. But she was a handful. It was hard because I think there was a couple of times where like the ball would come up to her, and I literally had to try and look like through her legs because I couldn't, because she used her body so well to like pin. And yeah, she was just a handful, but I mean, she had a strike on her as well, like an absolute rocket. But I do think, yeah, there's sometimes that when she first come, it was sort of that stereotyping of she's just going to be a physical player. She might not technically be that great, but she's going to be a handful in the box. And I think now when you're looking at her, the relationship as well has grown between her and Miedema. And I've always found with City over the years it's how they play when they don't have Bunny. Like, how do they cope when she's injured? Because I feel like they've put themselves in really good positions in previous seasons, but when then she's been out injured for a little bit, it just seems then they've never had a plan B as such. So, this is how we're going to play without her. But like you're saying, obviously now with other players stepping up, contributing to the goals, obviously think from a City point of view, they just got to try and keep her and Miedema as fit as possible, because the relationship obviously that's growing with them is just developing each game.
Shaw could have had 5 or 6 in this game, to be honest. In the first half, she had a few more chances, and they're not playing the Champions League, and that's also an added way that they can try and keep her fit, because she's had her own injury issues over the last few seasons, and they're going to be gunning for the League Cup. I mean, that is really kind of a huge opportunity for them, as well as FA Cup, and I suppose the best way to rank the WSL's best is what that all-time leading WSL scorer table continues to look like. Miedema's numbers are insane, and she is still playing in the league, so she can only add to that. And now Shaw is going to be trying to chase down with also Paris and Kirby, who are still playing in the league, but obviously aren't as prolific as they once were. And Beth England still kind of adding to her total. But I think if Shaw stays in the WSL, she will surpass Miedema's record. I reckon she's...
Yeah, I think that feels like... I mean, when she's fit, she scores 20 goals every season without fail.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and it's an incredible level of consistency, which, yeah, so it's just, like, natural. Like, Viv isn't going to go and score... I mean, I could still see Viv having a crazy goal-scoring season. Like, I don't think she's done in that sense. But obviously, by her nature, playing as 10 now, it changes things a little bit more.
And also, actually, we did mention it last week, but Carolyn came back and scored against Leicester City. But City adding another player to their attacking Fluidity, who hadn't been seen yet this season until last week, came on as well yesterday, so that's exciting as they kind of enter that second chunk of the campaign.
I think also what I feel like City really have going for them, and this kind of comes back to the goal thing, is it feels like once they get going in games, they really go. Because like with Leicester last week, it kind of was getting to, I can't remember when they scored, but it was like getting towards 70 minutes and it was still 0-0. And I was obviously starting to think, I was like, ooh, maybe they're going to drop points. But then it's like they score one and then they score two and score three. And it was like, it's like, as you say, it's the same in this Villa game. It was like, it was obviously sooner than 70 minutes. You know, it's in the first half, but it's like they score towards the end of the first half and then it's two, even before half time. And then in the second half, it's like boom, boom, boom. And I think, you know, especially, again, this is something I think Chelsea and Arsenal have been guilty of this season. It's like they might get their noses in front, but they don't kill these games off. And I think that's something that you know, I know when that City fan was saying like, oh, it's been 11 goals across 2 games. It's that, the ability to really put games out of sight, which I think that's the thing about City this season, which feels like why they're in such a good position. Because, yeah, Chelsea and Arsenal have both sort of dropped points when they've been ahead and they haven't been able to, like, make teams feel scared. You know, like, Villa even score yesterday, but it's like, it doesn't matter. No one's thinking about it because City have scored 6.
Yeah. You talked about Sam Kerr. I want to talk about her performance yesterday because she came on in the second half against Brighton. Mm-hmm. Chelsea win 3-0. And she actually played a massive part in that second half. Really good performance. And kind of what we're feeling like could be her influence in games this season, because it's like, it's still question mark about what sort of role she's going to play as she still works her way back to full fitness. But I think it was good to see the influence that she can have in games for this Chelsea side.
Yeah, definitely. I think I felt with Kerr, even in the like glimpses we've seen, and we've obviously not seen loads of her, but it just feels like it is just that extra level compared to the other striking options that Chelsea have. Even in the sense of like how she makes defenders feel. And I guess it's also similar to the thing that Bunny has. It's like when you become these players who everyone knows like can score, it like almost starts to change your reaction to them, right? And obviously Chelsea's second goal is an own goal, and it's the second goal this week that it feels like defenders have been scared about where Kerr is in the box, and then they've just ended up heading it into their own net because it happened against Roma as well. Obviously for the third goal, she like spins away brilliantly, and I mean Alyssa Thompson's finish on that is like very, very impressive, I think, as well, from Kerr's ball. But yeah, I think she just offers Chelsea a level of, I'd say, variety, fear factor.
I think it's the instinct for me, and we spoke about it
box
before.
Movement.
Like, you just can't teach that.
Yeah.
There are just some people, and all the players on that WSL list have that. It's just that you can't sort of like explain and define it. It's just that raw instinct of what a good striker has, where they know where they are in the box, where they need to be, their movement, everything, their finishing. And although Kerr famously kind of sometimes fluffs some of the easiest chances, like, she still has that raw just instinct in her where she just knows where she needs to be.
Yeah, I mean, one of my always biggest bugbears is like people overdoing it about like players missing chances, because the best players are miss chances because they're in those positions and they get in those positions again and again, and ultimately that then translates into goals. And it's like really makes me laugh. I mean, I guess I've spoken to some people about it because Kerr has missed, like, I think against Roma she missed quite a few sitters. And I guess with Kerr, because she's coming back from injury, it feels like people are like, oh, she's lost it. I'm like, if you've watched any of Sam Kerr ever, she's always missed those chances. But everyone knows she also scores goals.
Well, it's not only like, it's obviously that she does have that kind of tendency, but also she hasn't played in so long. It adds to that factor of you're just playing catch up a little bit.
Yeah, I think obviously the frustrating thing is like she'll go to the Asia Cup presumably in March, is that? So it's a bit of a, I think, annoying thing in terms of where we are in the tournament cycle, in terms of where Chelsea might want her and be able to use her, and maybe that also factors into like kind of Bompastor's plans in terms of like, you know, you can't rely on her being able to start for you for the rest of the season, even because of that. But yeah, I think Chelsea just looks so much better with her, and I guess also hopefully for Chelsea in the new year, Myra Ramirez might come back as well, and that will give them yet more variety in attack. Because I think, you know, and we spoke about this in the week. I think it's just clear that Beaver Jones is just in a poor run of form, and as I say, I don't think that's really anything to worry about given her age. I think that's something you expect, but it has felt like in these games where Chelsea have struggled to score and struggled to create, it's like having that fear factor, that danger in the box, and I think that's just what Kerr gives you.
Yeah, some very mad results on the weekend. So obviously, Arsenal started the weekend with a 3-1 win, briefly going into second. That was at Goodison Park. Katie Musgrove's screamer, some other good goals there. We've spoken a lot about Arsenal in the last few episodes, so we won't go into detail on that today. But if you haven't yet listened to our episode last Thursday with Tim Stillman, it was a brilliant episode, and we really kind of got into Arsenal this season. So check that out. But you briefly mentioned there, Leicester City beating London City Lionesses 1-0 was also crazy.
Kosovare Aslani's penalty, one of the worst penalties I've ever seen. It was like the slowest ball. And listen, I'm not good at football, and I would say one of my weaknesses is I cannot kick the ball very hard. I don't understand how it happens. Jill, maybe you can train me how to kick the ball hard. But I could have...
Did you see me kick the ball?
I could have kicked the penalty harder than... I think obviously she maybe wanted to send the keeper the wrong way and then roll it into the other side, but it's just like...
That West Ham Liverpool game was pretty bonkers.
Mia Enderby Flowers.
Yeah.
First WSL goal.
And Beta Olsen scoring again.
Another.
A late equaliser. And Gemma Bonner getting sent off early. I mean...
Also, can I say, I think that red card was like harsh. Jenna Clark is right there.
Yeah. That was kind of the relegation playoff derby. And when West Ham were 2-1 up, I did think, oh, Liverpool. But that's a massive point for them. And yeah, that is all the results from the weekend. But it was a very kind of mad weekend of results, actually. When you look at the scorelines, you're like, whoa, a lot going on there.
Can I talk about the women's football show quickly?
Oh, yeah, I haven't seen it.
I have a highlight and an incredible low light.
Okay, talk
highlight, you have to go and watch the package they put together, because obviously it was Villa-Liverpool on Thursday night, right?
Oh, of course, yeah.
And Villa, like, smashed them.
Yeah.
The most melodramatic edit you've ever seen, with Gareth Taylor's, like, comments after it. It was incredible.
As in a sort of, like, relegation edit?
Yeah,
Right.
basically, like, disaster edit.
Right, okay.
But, wow, really, really enjoyed.
Wow, okay.
Set the pulse racing.
Wow, montage work.
My complaint, they had this stupid fucking elf that they were like hiding around the studio, and they'd done it last week as well. And then they had this whole segment about the elf, showing you where the elf was hiding. I was like, am I watching CBeebies?
Not in a 35-minute show. We don't have time for that.
I was like, this is unhinged behaviour. And then the elf's like sat next to the presenter, and she's like, I don't know, basically like doing it. At least if you're gonna do it, like put a mask on it so it's like a WSL player. It was just one of those normal.
Who would you
elves.
have as the WSL elf? Someone
Quite
cheeky.
Cheeky, yeah.
Who's a little bit cheeky?
Kirsten Kasparov.
I was gonna say Kirsten, but I feel like she also has a serious side.
I thought a Cuthbert.
Erin Cuthbert.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought they could at least be more inventive if they were gonna have a stupid idea.
Well,
and I was annoyed.
I didn't realise you hate elves so much. You're really rattled by this.
And I wanted to go to bed, but I had to wait until 9 o'clock to watch it. And then I was like, well, it's on after the watershed, and we've still got this stupid
Why didn't you
crap.
just watch it on iPlayer?
It wasn't up on iPlayer.
No, but in the morning or something.
In the morning, you had me get here for 8:30. I wasn't going to get up that early.
Wow, who knew? I'm not getting Jessy an elf for Christmas. That's why I know that for sure.
It rattled me so much.
Okay, well, I'm glad we've gone through that.
Thank you for giving me space to vent.
Wow. Listener/viewer, we're going to be back on Thursday talking Champions League, last round of Champions League phase games this week. And then on Monday, we have the return of the Counterpressed Christmas quiz. So make sure you listen to that if you want to get festive. Jill, have a good week. Last week for the Christmas holidays is a big one.
It is a biggie. It's a biggie. So
You're nearly there.
I can't wait.
You're nearly
to
there.
break up.
Jessy, a few Christmas parties this week.
Oh my God, I'm Christmas partied out.
Really? Already?
I've been going too hard.
You
And
have
I've
been
had
going quite hard.
Many. I've
You
had so many.
You have been going quite hard. Yeah, I do know this.
Oh,
We won't get into it, but
yeah, I've got like
just know
3 more
JPH
this week.
has been going hard. You got the work one.
Got my work one tomorrow. I've got my Writers Club Christmas dinner tonight.
Oh, very civilised.
And then my friend's doing one on Saturday. Hence why I
Okay.
can't watch Strictly Come Dancing.
Right.
Final. I think I'm worried it's the work one I'm worried about. I think the other two will be civilised.
Work ones, I've never worked in like a big office, but from what I hear from the kids, work Christmas parties get a little bit crazy.
Yeah.
So you got to watch out.
It might get a little bit crazy.
Okay, well, if you see JPH worse for wear in central London,
Yeah.
you know why. Okay, everyone, we'll be back on Thursday. See you then.